The title of her talk this morning is The Labyrinth as Pilgrimage, Following Spirit's Lead. An exploration of the labyrinth, its mysteries and treasures, through stories and experience. And many labyrinths will be provided to all. You have got one on your chair. So Barb Lucas is the founder of Friends of Red Sun, of the Red Sun Labyrinth, a nonprofit dedicated to the preservation of the public labyrinth in Victor. And as she is also an expressive arts therapist in private practice here in Hamilton. And Barb seeks to love, inspire, serve, and teach universal spiritual principles through the use of universal spiritual practices. And Barb has been one of the founders of our Center for Spiritual Life and has been with us since its conception. And I just welcome Barb. Okay. Let's put a little bit of feedback there. A little better. See if that mic is off. Off. Okay. How discombobulated are we all feeling? Just a little bit? Right? We're just shaking things up here today. I tell you, I went to bed about 1 a.m. I've been waiting on Spirit to give me this talk. She took her sweet time. I got the download about 1 a.m., was able to go to bed, and woke up at 3:30 a.m. to use the restroom and realized that talk is no good. I don't want to hear that talk. I'm not going to tell it. And so I just waited. And I waited. And I said, well, they'll all forgive me. It's just fine. And then it came. So here we go. Does everyone have one of these cardstock white and black labyrinths? We want to make sure everyone has one of those for the experiential part of the service this morning. And also, can I have a time check? Like, do I have 20 minutes or are we a little behind? We're good? Okay. I have no idea how long this talk takes, so we're going to find out together. Okay, anybody not have one of those?
This one.
Okay. All right. So that's a finger labyrinth you have in your hands there. And that's the classical pattern. The one behind the grand is the medieval pattern, most commonly known as the Chartres pattern, because it's in Chartres Cathedral. It was put in the ground in 800 years ago. In the early 1200s. So here's the thing. When I was waiting for Spirit to give me the talk, mostly what I was grappling with is that this is a spiritually mature community. If you are in the Center for Spiritual Life, you are spiritually mature. Right? You've already left many things behind to be here. So don't doubt that. You already are. So really, what could I share with you? And I have no idea how much you already know about the labyrinth, what you might already know about pilgrimage, and what you might already know, certainly you all do, about following Spirit's lead. So really, to me, I just wanted to have a conversation. I want to know as much about your experiences of those things as what mine is, but I'm the one up here. So we'll make it as interactive as we can. I want to give you just a little bit
of something about the labyrinth, and we're going to use it. You're going to experience it together, those who weren't able to come for the walk this morning. And then I'm going to tell a story. And then we're going to return to this labyrinth. And don't let me forget, you all, because I am past 50 now. Don't let me forget that the center will hold. Okay, you remember that with me. Center will hold. So the little piece of labyrinth lore I want to give you are the 3 R's. There's lots of labyrinth lore, and we had a long, long conversation about that. But today I just want to give you the 3 R's because this is what Spirit gave me at 3:30 this morning. And these come from Lauren Artris, who founded Veriditas, a nonprofit labyrinth organization dedicated to bringing the labyrinth to modern times, which they certainly have succeeded. How many of you have walked a labyrinth? See? Like, what do you need me up here for, right? You've had your experiences, but I'm going to give you a little something. So, the 3 R's of walking the labyrinth. This is a suggestion. It's a potential. It is not a rule. There are no rules for walking the labyrinth, right? Like there are no rules for walking your life. It's just a container. It's an opportunity. It's a path. I'm going to give you these 3 R's for your consideration. Then I want you to track them through my story. The first R is releasing. When we enter the labyrinth, we could release whatever we're holding, whatever we're carrying, whatever we feel like needs letting go. We could just have that intention in our mind as we enter in and move our way to the center. We arrive at the center of the labyrinth, and there we receive because we've emptied, we've let go. Now we're going to dwell in the center until we receive. And then we make our way out, and that is the return, the resolution. The hero, the arc of the hero's journey, right, goes out and slays the dragons, gets the treasure, and comes back to the community with something of value to deliver. So these are the 3 R's I want you to keep in mind while we take 1 minute with the labyrinth in your hand. And Ms. Shakura, you don't have one.
Just share it.
Well, they're not really shareable. Got it? Anybody else without one? I'm sorry. And Bill? No, we don't need you to be without one. There are sufficient numbers. Thank you. John? You want this one. The other one is too long for this little process. Okay? Pretty please. So you can think about the 3 R's, and we're going to just do a practice run here. You're going to use your finger to enter this labyrinth, trace it to the center, and come back out. And take your time. You're with that one. What'd you notice? Peace?
Slowing down.
Slowing down.
Some resistance points along the way.
Resistance along the way.
Wanting to stay at the core.
Wanting to stay at the core.
Flow.
No. Yeah. Integration. Mhm. Faith. So, pilgrimage, a journey, especially to a shrine or sacred place. I know we have pilgrims out here. Long time pilgrims out here. A pilgrim, one who travels to a shrine or holy place as a devotee. Are you devoted? And what are you devoted to? Pattern, an ideal, an exemplar of the ideal. So, remember to watch for these 3 R's as we move through my story, yes? Do I have 5 minutes? I'll be quick. Remember where we left off last time I spoke with you, with the praying hands girl? And what did she want to tell everyone? Who remembers her message, praying hands girl? Remember how devoted she was to God? God, teach me right from wrong. God, teach me right from wrong. Please teach me right from wrong. And what did she want to tell you all? No one remembers. That means you all aren't doing it. She said, say your prayers. Say your prayers. Say your prayers. That's what praying hand girl had for you. And we're going to pick up the story now. Several years later, you remember praying hands girl. It's me, right? So several years later, right, there was a time of a dark night of the soul where I became undevoted and an unbeliever, right? This is when my brother was dying of AIDS. And I said, well, if that can happen, there is no God, clearly. And some time passed, and I became a mother, and I started again to search, because what am I going to tell my children about this thing, about this mystery? So I head to church, and I didn't really find anything there. But I landed in 12-step, and I really found something there. I know there are several of my comrades in this gathering that found a higher power in 12-step. And that was, God as you define God. God is what it turned out for me for a long time. And so I was following, again, a devotee, following Spirit's lead, also known as God. And landed at Leslie doing my bachelor's degree in Boston. 2 weeks after 9/11. Logan Airport on lockdown. Right? Soldiers walking around with their rifles in the airport. And I land at Leslie University, that I now call the goddess Leslie, and someone is presenting their thesis, and it's the Labyrinth. And they've built one outside in the woods with rocks. And I walk in and I think, this is strange. Couldn't really make out the pattern, kind of got lost. This is weird. What am I doing here? I'm following Spirit's lead. I come back home and I find Red Sun. It had been operating since, on the 31st, it'll be 20 years that Red Sun has been holding walks. And I start walking Red Sun. that labyrinth as part of my devotion, part of letting Spirit lead me. And I do my thesis on the labyrinth, and I host a retreat up there. And people spend a night, and people have amazing experiences and transformative experiences. And I continue walking the labyrinth. And then I walk it right into my divorce. And I walk it through my divorce. Have you heard any of the 3 R's yet? Yeah. But there was also a receiving. I received myself through walking through my divorce. And then I met someone. And I received. And he walked the labyrinth with me very early on, in the winter time, covered in snow. And he cried. And I said, that's a real man. And we've been walking that labyrinth ever since. And we were married in that labyrinth. I did. And I've continued to walk that labyrinth and bring people to that labyrinth and do retreats up at that labyrinth. And then Patty Meyer passed. Helmut and Patty Meyer created that labyrinth, lived up there 47 years, and she passed. And Helmut wasn't going to keep the labyrinth. And he'll sell it. It was for sale. How many people remember that? You were hoping to procure it, right? People want, how do we save the labyrinth? What's going to happen? Right? There's a binder this big of people who have walked it and signed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So honoring. I released this, I gained that, right? Page after page after page, 20 years. Many of you have signed that book multiple times, I bet you. And some friends and I almost purchased the labyrinth. We were going to be trustees, put it into trust that it would always be a labyrinth. And then that didn't happen. Now, where are we in the pattern? Are we at the center? Are we kicked back out on the edge? What's going to happen to the labyrinth? Am I releasing? Am I receiving? Am I returning? Gotta let it go. See what Spirit has in mind. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Not 1, not 2. 3 minutes. You get that? So I'm still devoted to the labyrinth, and I'm devoted to following Spirit's lead. And I have a dream. I wake up from the dream upon hearing, "Go be in silence with the Lord." Who is saying that to me? The Lord? Oh, I've since learned a few things about that word. And so I'm pretty happy to have received that message. I went to Chartres, France, which is the pattern that Red Sun is patterned after. And Patty herself had gone to Chartres, France for that same training. And this is her book, signed by Lauren Artress, when she went there in 2001, that Helmut gave to me. That's now signed by Lauren Artress when I went there in 2018. And I've learned that the labyrinth is my ministry, and always has been. And that's the R, the last R, the return, that I now bring the labyrinth around. And as Luann mentioned, founded a nonprofit, Friends of Red Sun, because Helmut didn't sell the labyrinth. And I kept walking, and I kept inquiring, how's he doing? How's his health? What will happen? I told him I was going to France. And as I walked that labyrinth and cried and felt Patty Meyer there with me and understood Red Sun must continue. For the sake of the world, Red Sun must continue. It has something to send through, like your prayer. It's that Christ consciousness will come through that pattern. Walk it and see what you will receive. And Danelle is planting a labyrinth, possibly, and Chris is planting a labyrinth. And when I was gathering signatures for the environmentally good E something. That woman has a labyrinth in her yard, right? So the labyrinths pop up in times of need. And we are in dire times of need, aren't we? Yeah. So I return from France. Helmut goes to Germany. Helmut comes home. I am convicted that the labyrinth must remain, and this is my resolution. Not sitting back anymore and I'm going to wait and see what happens. No, I call him up. Helmut, can we meet? And we meet. We have lunch. And I say, Helmut, I think it has to remain, and what can I do? And he said, oh, you must be reading my mind, because on my plane home I said that the labyrinth must remain, and I want to put it in a foundation. And this is what he's doing. He will bequeath the labyrinth upon his death to a foundation that will carry it on. And so it's early on. He's healthy. He's fine. He can live another 20, right? He could outlive me. What do I know? None of us know. In the meantime, though, we can gather friends of Red Sun, and we can upkeep Red Sun. And when the time comes for it to be passed, there will be a container to receive it. Yeah? Yeah. So many releases, many receivings, and finally a resolution and a return. And that's my ministry. And I will bring the canvas labyrinth all around, have Labyrinth go travel now. It's only 45 pounds. I'll be driving it places. And I'll bring it here, and I will have it at River Street Dance, probably for full moons, which is a beautiful time to release. So I just wanted to say one more thing, because time's up. I wanted to trace it again. We're not going to. There's a pattern on the back of the chair in front of you. You're welcome to it. Those are for journaling the labyrinth. So to follow it with your little pen and write in there and see where that takes you. But the thing I wanted to say is, in our service, we do the 3 R's. When we do our joys and concerns, we release. When we hear the message, we receive. And what we ought to be as spiritually mature people doing is returning something, right? What you get here, how is it active in your life? Now, you could be releasing, that could be really well. We'll hold you for that. You're certainly receiving. If you are here, you're receiving. Yeah? And then how are you returning? And what do you need to be able to step into your returning? God bless you all.